We'll talk about the perks of the job. It's my pleasure right now to visit with one of the biggest names in college football history, a 1996 Heisman Trophy winner, a 1996 national champion with the Florida Gators, the great Danny Wuerffel. Danny, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. I got so much I want to talk to you about, not only being a great football player, but also a great human being off the field. But right off the bat, LSU and Florida this weekend. A couple of teams looking to regain their previous power that have been national champions. They're both unranked this weekend, both with new head coaches. Just your thoughts on this game this weekend.
Well, I think for both programs, while it's not, a top 10 matchup that we probably both prefer, it's a very intriguing matchup, and it's a very important game for both teams and for both coaches. I think at this stage in both of the first-year coaches' seasons, this would be a really important win for each of those teams. LSU Florida has been a really interesting the last 5, 6, 7 years. There's been a lot of wonky things that have happened, a lot of intensity that it's really kind of shaped up, I think, to be one of the exciting games of the year. And so I think this year is no different, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Danny, of course, the two head coaches in the game are going to be a big topic this week. Both LSU and Florida had job openings. Billy Napier did an amazing job with the Raging Cajuns just an hour down the road. LSU really didn't pay him a whole lot of interest. They go for the older, more seasoned coach in Brian Kelly. I would imagine a good grounded guy like you would probably say, look, it's going to take 2 or 3 years before we know who got the better hire, all that stuff. But whoever wins this weekend, their fans are going to be talking, I'm sure.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of chatter, no doubt about that. Brian Kelly's a fantastic coach and was a great hire. But personally, I'm really glad that Napier ended up at Florida. I'm a big Billy Napier fan. I've spent more time with the program in the last 10 months than I think I have at all before that for a lot of different reasons. But I'm just really excited about where we are as a program, the culture that he's building, the attention to detail. A lot of things make me really happy that Billy Napier is our football coach.
Living in the year 2022, where no one has any patience and social media and all that, what do you say as a legend of the game? Hey, look, this is going to take some time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different factors you can look at. I tend to think, man, you got to give a coach a full 3 years before you really get a sense. And at that point, you may not be winning a national championship, and in most cases you wouldn't. But if you see that trajectory going in a great way, you made a good hire. I think the day and age we live, everybody's so quick to pull the trigger that sometimes it seems a little bit different to me. But I think you got to give three good years and then make a good assessment.
All right, going back in time nearly 30 years with the great Danny Wuerffel. We'll see how much he remembers here. Now, a great Christian like yourself could not, give these beatings to the LSU Tigers that you did back in the 90s here, Danny. Joking, of course. But 1993, October 9th, this is like rock bottom for LSU. I don't know if your perspective, but Florida 58, LSU 3 that night in Tiger Stadium. You were splitting time at quarterback, but I saw number 7 chunking a few touchdowns that night. Do you remember anything about that game?
I do. Actually, I had back spasms before the game. I wasn't even sure I was going to play, but I just got the starting job, and I was not going to let go of that. Got in there and threw 4 quick touchdowns in the first half and then didn't even play in the second half. I'm not trying to allude to anything that may have just happened recently because that wouldn't be kind, but I remember that game well. It was a night game. It was pretty exciting to be there, and we just had a great start.
I think ESPN even apologized for airing the game at one point. It was like, we thought this would be better. Sorry. You were 4-0 against LSU. You won 4 SEC titles. The next year, 1994, you were number 1 in the country. Beat Florida 42. Beat LSU 42-18. 1995, you won again in Tiger Stadium, 28-10, a day game. They did kind of rough you up, though, Danny. You were sacked 4 times and threw 3 picks in the game. Anthony Booger McFarland caught a touchdown in that game, too. I don't know if you remember. But
yeah, that was a great game. That was a really tough game for us. They played us really well. Kind of at the time started with a slightly different type of, a lot of teams tried to play a lot of men and zone defense against us, and we could still throw and then we could run. LSU really got aggressive and played press man with some outside leverage, and we didn't have a great game. And that ended up being a scheme that a lot of other teams like Nebraska used in the national title there not too long after that. That really made things tough for us. Fortunately, we practiced that in the off season going into my senior year, and then we were ready for that too.
And finally, 1996, the amazing team you played on, kind of similar to what LSU experienced this past weekend, maybe like, hey, we're going to try to step in the ring. We think we're ready, maybe. And Tennessee, won convincingly. LSU went down to the Swamp that year, undefeated. And you guys led 42-6 at the half. You threw 3 touchdowns. You even ran for a touchdown. That was an emphatic win by the Florida Gators that day.
Yeah, we had a stretch there that was pretty remarkable. When you look at some of those scores and the teams that we played, you may not believe it. You'd think it was like a fake movie or something, but we got on a good run. Teams were really committed to pressing us, and we were able to kind of beat that. And if you're playing man-to-man coverage and you win, it makes for some easy scores as well. So that was a great day for Florida.
And the defenses too back then. The great Kevin Falk here, LSU's all-time leading rusher. He's like, man, I tried to run, and those holes they closed in a heartbeat.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize a big reason we won the national title my senior year is we brought in Bob Stoops to be the defensive coordinator, and our defense my senior year was just outstanding. We got a lot more plays, a lot more possessions, a lot of short fields off turnovers, and that made for tough days for some opponents.
A few more football things with you. The great Steve Spurrier, in the 90s, rooting for LSU, is like, oh, we got to play Florida this week. Oh, we're going to get killed. And, he kind of played a college football villain. He wasn't afraid to speak in the media and kind of poke people and run up the score maybe. Broad question, what was it like to play for him? Did he kind of poke you too to get the best out of you?
Oh, he was. He pushed you hard. And at times it wasn't fun. He really, really pushed you to be the very best that you could be. And I tell you, the trajectory of my life as a player and as a person really changed because of that. We've got a fantastic relationship. We talk often now. He's like one of those guys that's a really good father, but a fantastic grandfather. He's like the grand coach now. I do remember one time early on, I threw an interception. I thought the receiver had ran the wrong route. So I thought Coach Spurrier would have my back, and I thought he did because he said, Danny, don't worry. It's not your fault. And so I was good. He goes, it's my fault for putting you in the game. You're out.
You know who Skip Burtman is, the legendary LSU baseball coach here that went on?
I am aware, yeah.
Yeah, I think he had the same line. Yeah, he'd say, it's not your fault, kid. It's my fault for thinking you could play here. See?
There you go.
Two of the great ones, basically the same message there. And then, he thought so highly of you, he brought you to the Redskins, right? Washington football team in the NFL.
Yeah, that was great to get another chance there. That didn't work out like any of us had hoped for a lot of reasons, but just a great opportunity to play at different levels for Coach Steve Spurrier for sure.
Now, you were with the New Orleans Saints. The Saints got Mike Ditka. We were all excited. Iron Mike, didn't work out. I'm a nerd. I remember things. 1998, little bootleg in overtime, Indianapolis Colts. Cam Cleveland in the flat. You hit him. Touchdown.
I love it. Yeah, that's right.
And they said Danny Wuerffel gets the best of Peyton Manning again as they went head-to-head that day.
That's right. 4-0 against Peyton Manning lifetime. Now that's one of my few claims to fame, including an NFL highlight there. There weren't many NFL highlights, but that was one of them.
Well, it was a tough situation, wasn't it? I mean, you made the best of it, but the talent just wasn't there in the late 90s there in the Superdome.
Yeah, I mean, to be successful, especially at quarterback, you've got to be in the right place at the right time with the right coach, and everything's got to fit. And, I just don't think that worked out. But, in the course of my life, from high school to college, to even in the NFL Europe, won the World Bowl, I was blessed so many times that I'm really, really grateful for my career and how it played out.
Do your friends or people, do they nudge you about that helmet backwards? How have you dealt with that all these years later, Danny Wuerffel?
Well, it's become, unfortunately, a staple of my life, so I just ran with it. I usually use it in every speech I give. I talk about getting hit and I can't see and I'm on the ground. And, of course, people think I had a concussion or lost my vision. And fortunately, I'm able to say, no, it wasn't that. I was fine. I wasn't even dead. Just my helmet was backwards, and usually gets a few laughs.
Well, good deal. Yeah, great to see you have a great sense of humor about it. Joe Burrow won the Heisman here. Florida, you guys have had the three quarterbacks, right? With yourself, Tebow, and of course your coach, Spurrier. What was it like to watch him that year? I was comparing the stats because I just remember the greatest season I could remember a quarterback having was you throwing the football.
Oh, man. It was unbelievable, magical year for LSU. I've got a lot of friends in Baton Rouge, and I've spent a lot of time there myself through the work with Desire Street Ministries. And so I was just really, really happy to see that year come together. Really like nothing else. And the stats that they put up, the amount of scoring, at the beginning of the year, it was kind of like, well, this is just an anomaly. There's no way this can keep up. And then it just did all the way till the end. It was truly remarkable.
Danny, your faith has been, a huge part of your life, obviously. And I got online just reading a little bit about Florida this morning and the hurricane and the farmers that have lost, tons of crops and are hurting and whatnot. I imagine, now more than ever in that state, when you want to get angry and upset about things, you have to turn to your faith.
Yeah, absolutely. My faith has always been a part of my life since I was young. There's certainly pivotal moments along the way where I think it became more personal and more foundational kind of in who I am and my being. I think, my life's mission is really to inspire service and unity in the world that's driven by my faith. And for sure, as a player, I remember very key moments where there was some really supernatural peace that came along in certain moments that I could tell wasn't just my own doing. And then just throughout my life, just the opportunity and all the things that we do for the good and bad, the things that go well, the things that don't, the times you're happy, the times you're upset, the times marriage and family's great, the times when it's miserable, like all these things are part of life. And I've just recognized that my faith has been a stabilizing effect through all of that.
When you were in New Orleans with the Saints, I think you said out loud, what is my purpose besides football? And that's when you got involved. You didn't start Desire Street, but you came a big part of it. And that high school academy, they were here in Baton Rouge for a period of time. D'Angelo Peterson, a former LSU Tiger, who had the fake, they called it River Left, the play against Alabama, a trick play that LSU beat Alabama in 2010 and Nick Saban. But just your involvement with that and Katrina, what you were involved in there as well.
Yeah, there's a weird play that happened at Florida a few years back where Brandon James took a kickoff and it looked like he was going to catch a seam and somebody tackled him at the 18-yard line. So everybody in the Florida stadium was disappointed. And there was one guy on the Florida sideline celebrating like crazy, which was me, which was weird, except for it was the fact that D'Angelo Peterson was the guy that ran down on the kickoff and made the tackle. And just one of many examples of kids growing up in New Orleans that had the opportunity to be a part of something to improve their education, their life, their faith. And in his case, his athletic ability and academics led him to LSU. But there's just hundreds of those examples coming out of New Orleans. And now Desire Street, what we do is we help leaders all over the country that are running programs in under-resourced neighborhoods. So we've been able to impact thousands now of children and families all across the Southeast. Our headquarters are here in Atlanta now, and we're working all around and just really thankful and proud of the work that we've done and that we get to be a part of.
And you've got a big event coming up. It's called the Desire Cup, right? It's gala, golf, pickleball. Danny Wuerffel, pickleball is exploding. I'm hearing more and more about people playing pickleball. People that getting a little bit older, they just love it. And so this is a big event. You're going to have a bunch of SEC and NFL players there for the big Georgia-Florida game, October 27th and 28th, in a place called Sea Island, Georgia. Sounds spectacular.
It's a wonderful few days. We like to say Florida, Georgia versus Georgia, Florida, as you just referenced. That's a big fight. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, we have a great golf gala and golf tournament. And this year we added this pickleball event. You're right. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country. And while most people think of it as an old person sport, it's actually just incredibly popular with the young people. My son plays on the club team at Florida now, and they're having a national title. I absolutely love the sport, and we put together a celebrity pro-am pickleball tournament that'll be live streamed. So a lot of fun stuff coming up at the end of October. If anybody wants to learn more about this, you can go to desirecup.com, or you can always just go to, if you can figure out how to spell my name, DanielWuerffel.com, you can find out all this stuff too.
You do have such a unique name. I've never heard of another Wuerffel, right? I mean, that's kind of all your own, huh?
Yeah, there's a few. It's German. It means dice or cube is sort of what it means. And there's a few different variations of the spelling. And but yeah, we kind of have our own thing. But when I played in the European League, I played in Germany. Yeah. And the fans would wear like these cubes on their head, like Wuerffel, throw the interception. They'd still cheer. They didn't really quite know the game yet, but they were passionate fans.
Jake Delhomme, he played in that league and won title, I believe.
Rohan, he sure did. Yeah, Jake played the 2 years prior to when I played, and had a great experience over there that really helped him develop and turned him into the quarterback he became.
Awesome. Yeah, that was quite a time, huh? The World League. That was very different.
Yeah, it was super fun. I loved it. It was great talent in Europe. Didn't quite have all the crazy pressure that comes along with the NFL or even high profile college. And it's kind of just a really fun way to play football.
Let's end with this, Danny. You and Tim Tebow, the fact that you were so alike, like, in terms of, hey, I want to be a good person, be a Christian, all these different things. He was more of a runner, right? I mean, he, as far as the way you played the game, he just run over people. He was a monster. But is it just kind of coincidence that these two Heisman Trophy winners in recent years for Florida were this way?
Yeah, interesting. Well, another interesting fact is my dad and his dad were both pastors. So, and Steve Spurrier's dad was a pastor. So you have 3 Heisman Trophy winners, 3 statues in front of university. You would think they would be very specific in their recruiting going forward, looking for a quarterback that was the son of pastors. But no, we all 3 have a great relationship. We share a real unique bond there at Florida. I love Tim and all the things that he's doing in the world. He's making a big difference.
Danny Wuerffel, thanks so much, my friend. Appreciate your time, and keep making a positive impact on the world.
All right, thanks, man. Take care.